Audi continues to target the ever-growing market for premium badged mid-sized 5-seat SUVs with this second-generation version of its stylish little Q3. This car's now cleverer, smarter and more efficient, all of these being attributes it'll need if it's to make headway in this increasingly crowded segment. When it comes to this kind of car, there are certainly cheaper options. The question, though, is whether there are really any more desirable ones. The dynamic standard in this segment has been raised quite a lot since Audi launched the original first-generation Q3, and this Mark II model has evolved accordingly. We've particularly noticed the ride quality enhancement. Even with big wheels fitted, this Q3 cushions the bumps really effectively in a much more sophisticated way than its predecessor. Few other class rivals now better it in this regard, to the point where you may not feel it necessary to pay extra for the adaptive suspension that's optional on most models. Combine that with exceptionally good refinement and you get an extremely accomplished cruiser. There are significant handling enhancements too, but they come with a typical Audi caveat, somewhat lifeless steering. Which is a pity, because if you can work through that, this Mark II model Q3 is, as advertised, a big improvement if you want to start pushing it along a bit through the corners. Body roll is well controlled for an SUV, and aided by the stiffer MQB chassis and torque vectoring, there's plenty of grip and traction even without the Quattro four-wheel drive system, which you can't have on the 150 PS variants that most Q3 customers will buy. There are two, the 1.5-litre 35 TFSI petrol variant I'm trying here, which in manual guise on 18-inch wheels is able to return up to 46.3 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and up to 140 grams per kilometre of CO2. The alternative is a 2-litre 35 TDI diesel. Both models can be matched to a smooth 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch auto gearbox on request. The other minority interest engines in the range have to have Ford-driven wheels and S-tronic transmission. There's a 40 TDI derivative that gets a more potent 190 PS version of the 2-litre diesel, and a larger 2-litre petrol unit available in 190 and 230 PS states of tune in the 40 TFSI and 45 TFSI variants. Audi took a very conservative approach to shaping the first version of this model, toning down the extrovert styling of the cross-concept Quattro concept car it was based upon. These days, though, SUV buyers expect more of a pavement statement, so this second-generation design obliges with a taller profile, boxy flared wheel arches, a less rakish bonnet and a more upright windscreen. It's certainly more noticeable, especially in brighter colours. Time to move inside. Once you enter in through the long doors, you'll discover yourself to be in the digital age, courtesy of what is probably now the classiest cabin in the segment. For the first time on a Q3, there's the standard fitment of a digital instrument screen to replace conventional dials, offered in either 10.25 or 12.3-inch forms. There's also a 10.1-inch MMI Navigation Plus with MMI Touch centre dash display that comes as standard with 3D sat-nav and a 3-year subscription to a suite of Audi Connect media connectivity features. As for interior design, well, the focal point here at the front is this reductive instrument panel which features high-gloss black finishing and flows from the driver's door to the centre of the fascia with a row of horizontal vents just above. It can all feel very high-end indeed if you add in a few extra premium touches, like the optional Alcantara finishing strip that can be specified to run along the top of the dash and on into the doors. Time to take a look in the back. Now, the key change here lies in the addition of a sliding, reclining seat that gives this Audi a real advantage over most of its rivals in this segment. This bench can go back and forth over a range of 150 millimetres, and it's a 1/3, 2/3 split, so that you can have one part of it forward and part of it back, which you might want if, for instance, you've got a child seat on one part that you need to turn around to tend to, and an adult passenger sitting on the other. Obviously, in its forward position, knee room will be tight, except for small children, though these scalloped out seat backs help. But with it pushed right back, as of course it will be most of the time, even a couple of 6-footers will be able to stretch out in a way that you simply wouldn't expect to be able to in a car of this class. And out back, well, it's mostly all good news. Activate the powered tailgate and you'll find that boot space has risen markedly over what was provided by the previous generation model. The 530-litre capacity figure representing a 110-litre increase. That's 25 litres more than a BMW X1 and 98 litres more than a Volvo XC40, even before you start moving the rear bench about. If that's not enough to deal with the cargo you have in mind to take, then you're going to want to fold the seats completely. Unfortunately, there are no catches on the shoulders, so you have to go round to the side and pull up some straps. The capacity with everything flat is 1,525 litres. How should we judge this second generation Q3? There are probably more interesting cars of this kind that you could consider. Whether there are any better ones, though, is another question. This is, after all, now the most practical and versatile premium model in its segment. Inside, it also feels the most technically advanced car in its class, courtesy of its virtual cockpit instrument screen and its standard interactive Audi Connect media connectivity, which all contributes to the extra dose of sheer feel-good factor that you'll get from having one of these on your drive. The way that Audi has packaged all of this up won't appeal to everyone, but a certain kind of customer will probably like it very much indeed.